Hey guys, and welcome to another episode of Woke by Accident podcast. It is a weekly chat about socially conscious topics impacting the culture. I'd like to extend my gratitude in you listening to this podcast. It means everything to me, and I hope it is clear that this subject matter is so important to me. I care about our people, our future, and making a positive change in this nation. Hey guys, and welcome to another episode of Woke by Accident podcast. Today we have a special guest, Sir Ervin Williams III. He is an actor, director, writer, producer, educator, poet, activist, and creative. He currently is working and living in Atlanta, Georgia. And Ervin is back to co-host the show with me. Welcome back, Sir
Hey,
Ervin.
thank you. Thank you so much for having me, Jen. I really appreciate it. I really do.
Yes, and you've been well?
I've been well. I've been doing well. I can't complain. How have you been doing?
Good to see you. We miss you here in the Lou.
Yes. I just was there about 2 weeks ago. I had came down for our family reunion and I
Mm-hmm.
stayed for like a week and a half, 2 weeks. I was down there with those unusual floods we had. That was
Oh
weird.
yeah,
That
it
was weird.
was.
And from the left, like they really have to do politicians in St. Louis. You have to do something about the infrastructure of St. Louis because that was ridiculous. And that wasn't even like the worst storm we've ever had to
Right.
have that insurmountable amount of floods going on around the city.
Definitely. And we've had
Yeah.
floods in this town many moons back, but yeah, this was something off the charts to see. And a
Yeah.
lot of people are still dealing with that. And there are resources out there, people. If you need help, reach out. There are resources available. Um, and yeah,
Yeah.
so you can get help if you need it. So, we have some topics that we wanted to get into to get our Sir Irvin's take, and we'll share that with you guys. This first one was about the Spirit Airlines
Mm.
customer service situation. You may have seen a video going around Instagram, social media about a customer service agent having a feud and a fight actually with a female customer. And so I've sent the video to Sir Irvin, and you did get a chance to check it out. I guess before we talk about what happened to him as a result, do you feel that the agent was in the wrong? Is it ever okay for a man to hit a woman?
Let me prerequisite this by saying I have never hit a woman. I have never been in a position where I had to put my hands on a woman. And I don't believe that any man should put their hands on a woman unless they're defending themselves, their family, or their life, right?
Okay.
And I strongly believe that. What I also believe, though, is that there aren't men who are raised like myself anymore or any other males
Mm.
who were raised by women who told us to do not put our hands on each other. I'm very blessed because I was raised by women. If I ever had to go into that situation, I have 5 women that are really willing to take a body for me at
Okay.
any given moment. So it wouldn't have never made it to that level. With that being said, there are some women in the world that need to understand this. You cannot put your hands on anyone and then scream victim when they put their hands back on you. You
Mm.
cannot poke a bear and then get mad when a bear turns around and show you I am a bear. You cannot, something I'm about to say, and I know I'm gonna catch a lot of flack for it, but it's true. Equal rights mean equal opportunity ass whooping. Excuse my language, Jen. And I'm being cheek and tongue about it, but it's one of those situations to where both of them were wrong, right? I did not see the video before it got to the part where everything escalated, but it was something that happened that
Right.
that customer service representative felt that he was being threatened, that he was being bullied. But then when he started agitating, like he
Mm.
could have simply said, you know what? I don't have time for this. I'm going to walk away. I'm going to get my supervisor, talk to upper management, because this is completely unacceptable for me to be dealing with as an employee. And the whole time I'm watching the video, I am going, where is security?
Yeah.
Right? Had this sister or this brother, had this woman or this brother had a turban on, was trying to smuggle a piece of an apple into the country, anything that was
Okay.
minute,
Yeah.
security would have been there, swooped down, and handled this situation. There was no security. There was nobody interjecting. It went on for the longest time. Some
It
of
did.
the worst insults you can call anybody was coming from this woman.
Hmm.
The agitation was coming from this man. And then what killed me is all of a sudden when everything escalated, and this is something that Black people have to deal with.
Hmm.
Everything is always okay long as we're not aggressive about what we're going through. Soon as we decide to defend ourselves or decide to act out of pocket, now people want to come out the woolworths and try to de-escalate the situation. Where were you all when this went on for all this time?
Yeah.
Someone should have been interjected and said, "Hey, brother, let's walk away. It's obvious this woman's not well. Let's go and walk away, bro."
Right. Not even another coworker, just nobody.
Nobody,
Like, yeah.
nobody,
Yeah.
nobody. And it should have been interjected before it even made it to that level. And then the guy that came in at the end, he like, you won't hit me and blah blah blah. Sir, if you don't go
Yeah.
sit down, because if you felt that strongly about him hitting a woman, you would have jumped up and fought him immediately. Go sit down. I don't really have an opinion about it. I don't like videos like that. I
Hmm.
try my best to avoid that kind of negative energy on my timeline. I don't even comment on videos like that because I don't like them showing up in my timeline. Because to me,
Yeah.
it's distracting. Um, it's taken away from the narrative of even stuff that you're doing with woke. It's taken away of the narrative of real things that's going on in the world,
Hmm.
and people acting unruly is not a real thing to me when it's an isolated situation. It's a real thing when they're charging the Capitol. It's a real thing when they're going into schools shooting children. It's a
Yeah.
real thing when they're going into churches defaming holy grounds and giving racial epithets and making laws to hinder people. That's real to me.
Hmm.
Somebody getting into it at the airport is not something that's real to me, if that make any sense.
No, I understand that. And so, um, what happened as a result of the incident, the airline did suspend the agent after the
Mm,
fight. It was noted that the woman did yell slurs at the agent, and she also, got some blows in there to herself, which,
yeah,
is unacceptable for a customer to cross that line on
absolutely.
an employee as well.
Absolutely. And that's the thing about it. The people cannot keep coming into these spaces. When I go to the airport, I am the nicest person you will ever meet walking
Hmm.
through an airport, especially with the people who are servicing us to get us from one location to another, right?
Oh, yeah.
And I think about how many people aren't like me. I think about how many times I've been at a restaurant and waiters and waitresses thank me for being so nice and so kind to them. And I think about how many people don't, and how inhumane. Like some people think that's because you are in the business of service that you are enslaved, or you don't have the educational prowess that they have. Like I don't
Hmm.
understand it
Hmm.
because I don't do it. That make any sense? Like you're less
Yeah.
than human because you are a waiter or a stewardess or a customer service representative. That's just simply not true. And we have to get to the point where we not only teach our boys not to hit girls, but we teach our girls to keep their hands to themselves. Because boys now, I know for a fact, being an educator for 15 years, there
Hmm.
are parents who are telling their children, I don't care if it's a boy, a girl, a
Hmm.
non-binary person, they put their hands on you. You have every right to defend yourself. That's law. That's
Hmm.
law. Anyone put their hands on you, you have every right. Every Even if you back a cockroach or a rat in the corner,
Hmm.
they have their God-given right to defend their life.
Right. It's almost like a natural reflex, right? So,
Yeah. But
yeah.
what wasn't natural was him constantly walking up on her. It should have something should have clicked. We saw a person lose complete control
Mm,
because he was angry.
mhm.
What she did was agitational, and people don't understand words are violent as well.
They are.
Words are violent as well. So people don't understand. We saw a person who was completely unraveled. Um, it kind of reminded me, and I don't know why I'm laughing, but because I'm silly. It kind of reminded me of the scene in Color Purple where
Okay.
Oprah where Oprah slapped the man or whatever, and
Mhm.
everybody started gathering around her, and she was like, get off of me, get away from me. That's what he reminded me of after he hit the woman.
Yeah.
I don't know why, but my
So I
mind
think,
instantly went
yeah,
there.
it might have been triggering to him in some way, her getting in his face like that. And, I think she even like poked, at his chest and like
She
mocked
pushed
his
him several
body.
times. She pushed him several
Yeah.
times.
Hmm.
Yeah, several times she pushed him. And if she would have found a lesser than men, that first push would have been a problem. So I don't know. Like, I'm not the airline. I saw what happened. I saw what happened from the middle. Um, but for him to be suspended and not immediately terminated, I think they're trying to get they're trying to get their ducks in a row to terminate him. But he definitely is going to have a lawsuit, and she will too, actually.
Okay. I was surprised that he wasn't just immediately fired, like you said. So,
Yeah.
like you said, it may be pending or coming, depending
Hmm.
on, like, as well as litigation as well. So, yeah,
Yeah. They're
it's
trying
not
to get
over.
him settled. They're trying to get him settlement money. They're trying to give him shut up money. And my suggestion to him in this situation is don't take it. Like, go for the
Okay.
jugular. Like, if they're going to fire you for defending yourself, and let me be perfectly clear, I'm not defending this brother. I'm defending the situation. He has every right to defend himself, whether he's a 300-pound linebacker or a 100-pound chess player. He has every right to defend himself, male or female.
Okay.
Unfortunately.
Okay. All right. I respect that. We'll mosey on down the list here of
Hmm.
topics. Now this one, we talked about this topic last time you were on the show, to show you how long ago that was. Breonna Taylor, and I never would have thought that, or I was surprised that this particular update occurred. And so the
Mm,
original incident for Breonna Taylor, for those who may not be aware, she was a 26-year-old African American woman who was fatally shot in her Louisville, Kentucky apartment on March 13th, 2020, when at least 7 police officers forced entry in this no-knock raid. They were doing an investigation into a drug dealing operation, which she was actually not the target of the raid. So, and as a result, she lost her life, and that was March 13th of 2020.
hmm.
So, the update in this matter, that 4 current and former Louisville, Kentucky police officers were charged Thursday
Absolutely.
with federal crimes connected to her death. And
Yes.
this is huge. Like,
Yes.
this is really
Yes.
huge.
And it took too long.
It really did.
Yeah.
And it's just interesting that we had the public, or no, the DA, Daniel Craig, telling them that, oh, they're justified and that kind of thing. Well, let me go on with the charges. So the charges against the defendants, Joshua James, Kyle Meany, Brett Hankinson, we've heard that name before,
Hmm.
and Kelly Goodlett, includes civil rights violations, conspiracy, use of excessive force offenses, and obstruction.
Yes.
So, the former police detective Kelly Goodlett will plead guilty. It
Hmm.
is estimated to 1 count of conspiring to violate civil rights of Breonna Taylor for helping to falsify an affidavit for the search of her apartment in March of 2020.
Yep.
So it's all coming out now. It seems that the the grounds of what this knock warrant, which is, the strength of them storming in there like that, was based on falsified information.
Absolutely. We knew that. We knew that. Black people knew that. We knew that when it looked like a duck, it walked like a duck, it's a duck. We knew that.
Mm.
And it's one of those situations to where, I'm sorry, you didn't ask me a question. I'm just so
No, no,
irritated
please.
by the
Yeah,
story.
yeah, yeah.
It's it's disgusting.
It is.
It's appalling. Um, my prayers go out to Breonna's family, especially her mother,
Mm-hmm.
of having to lose a child that way. My prayers go out to Kenneth for seeing the woman that you love, the woman that eventually you were going to marry, the woman that you wanted to create a life with, be murdered and gunned down um, maliciously and innocently. I couldn't imagine. I couldn't imagine,
Right.
right? And to see that you knew you were in the wrong. Y'all falsified documents
Mm-hmm.
to create, to keep up with the lie that you consistently told that you knew wasn't the truth. Now, I thank God that they have been charged. I'm praying that they be convicted. Because
Yeah.
as we know, as Black people, as Moors, as African American, whatever you choose to label yourself, as people of color, we know we have seen these charges before. We know that there are officers who have been getting away with this kind of um, maliciousness for years.
Mm-hmm.
I feel a shift in the universe, and I'm very grateful for it because now some people are getting their just due, but it's
Mm-hmm.
not enough. It's not enough. Conspiracy alone, I have to see what those charges, the years that come with those charges of what they did. And I think whatever years come with those charges, they should get the max charges on each one of those years. Can you imagine sitting in your bedroom about to go to sleep and your body's being riddled with bullets for something you had nothing to do with? You or your fiance had nothing to do with.
Right. No.
And the walls got charges. The people who in the apartment, y'all got charged for bullets coming into their wall. So the apartment building in which you live in got a better justice for themselves than your dead girlfriend, than your dead daughter.
Yeah. Yeah. And he didn't even get Hankinson when they had the other trial, and that was for the wanton endangerment.
Yeah,
You know, him just holding like not
yeah,
guilty of that.
yeah.
So, which is bizarre because he totally did endanger, any of those people, including the neighbor who had like a infant child right next door, which is um, crazy.
But you have
But
to remember though, these people, that just like when I speak about the Democratic Party and the Republican Party,
mhm,
there are two sides of one coin. These people have holidays together. They visit each other. They know
mm,
each other. They're in the same social and economic situation. They know of each other. Like they may not know Jen, but they know of Jen. So it's a
mm,
whole, the biggest gang in America are politicians, government official,
mm,
police officers. They're the biggest gang because they actually have the illusion of power to render your life. They
yeah,
have it. And their code of silence is like no other. But they
mhm,
expect you to snitch on your neighbor when there's a crime in the neighborhood. They expect you to come forward when you've committed a crime. But when they commit crimes, they get silent. When they commit crimes, they don't come forward. We have to hire people to catch them in their lies, and
yeah,
hopefully they get charged.
definitely.
Yeah.
How significant do you think was the movement in this information coming to light? I mean, hopefully more information will be revealed as the case develops, or it moves along from charges to indictment to
I think
trial
it
and
was
such.
I think it was huge.
Hmm.
Um, but I don't think what I think was that they strategically let time go past
Okay.
because when time go past, there's another story. There's another time. There, let's be perfectly clear. Breonna Taylor's story was only revamped on the heels of other stories that happened.
Yeah.
This went what? It was 2, 3 months before we really found out that wait, what happened? Remember when this first came out? It was hidden from the public.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, people forget that part of the story. They
Okay.
forget that it took other incidents like George Floyd and all these other things coming to life that people went, wait a minute. Remember, this happened to this black girl over here, this black woman over here too.
Yeah.
So her story was never meant to be put in the forefront. Never. And people have to keep that in mind. So the same energy we have for George Floyd and Mike Brown and Trayvon Martin and all these others is the same energy we have to have for Breonna Taylor, expecting like Ahmaud Arbery when it
Mhm.
comes to the prosecution of these people. We have to tune in and we have to zone in, because it's very important to know that you can be sleeping in your bed, Jen, next to your spouse, and you can be gunned down for doing something you have nothing to do with.
Right. I would have liked to have seen the other officers that were a part of the original um, raid, Mattingly and Coast Grove. It says that Mattingly has since retired after writing a
Of
book
course he
and
did.
get a nice
Of
little
course.
book
Cash stand on it.
deal.
Yeah, of course he did. Of course he did.
And yeah, and Coast Grove was fired back then, but I don't think he's written a book just yet. But yeah, they
Here's my
weren't.
thing. It couldn't have been me, because I wouldn't even be in this country anymore. They got away with murder
Yeah,
for 2 years.
they did.
And because of their arrogance and some of their privilege, they stuck around for 2 years to be prosecuted.
Yeah. And then like this female, where she's being a part, or we're hearing about her involvement in it, this detective Kelly Goodlett, you know, um
She all of a sudden found a conscience after 2 years. Because if you
okay.
plead guilty, you'll get less time, because we know what you've done. And the documents,
Yeah.
I'm sure it's 2020, they're in the computer. So there's a timestamp on when you updated this information. And it was well after Breonna Taylor's death.
Mm, yeah. That's really yeah, I'm gonna be glued to this. I mean, when this goes to trial, like, this is going to be so interesting. And
Yeah,
I am glad for her mother. I saw that she was really happy that these
absolutely.
charges came after, I forgot how many days she said, but I say it was like over 500 something days
Yeah,
they've been waiting for answers and justice, really.
yeah.
So definitely. But like you said, I guess you're not surprised that
I'm not surprised, because I know the history of this country.
mhm,
I know the history of the mistreated people of darker hue in this country. And I know cases like Sandra Bland, like
mhm,
myself. The police officers kicking in my door, putting a gun in my head, telling me that if I blink, black is going to be the last thing I see, over some
yeah,
traffic tickets that my sister had.
wow.
You understand what I'm saying? So I know, and I know when we went and filed a complaint against Pine Line Police Department, I don't have any problem saying the police department during that time. It was Pine Line Police Department. When we
Hmm.
went down to the federal building downtown, filed our complaint, got our complaint notarized, how nothing was done about it, how they dismissed our case.
Just nothing. Just
Nothing.
yeah.
Yeah, and this was well, but so even when Mike Brown happened,
Hmm.
myself and some of my friends, this was well before Mike Brown. This was 2004, well before Mike Brown.
Hmm.
So those of us who lived in North Side St. Louis, West Side St. Louis, North County, we knew that the police were pulling us over because we were black. We knew the police were pulling us over because we were young and didn't know the law, and constantly getting tickets because you didn't have stickers or registration, or you lived in Northwoods and your car was parked in Velda City and you didn't have a Velda City sticker. Like the things that they used to give you tickets for. And then what they would do when you don't show up to court, or you can't afford to pay, they would issue a warrant
Hmm.
on each one of those tickets. So now you have one stop, but you got 4 tickets. Now you have 4 warrants in that one municipality.
Yeah. That's yeah, he was like, when they did that deep dive into Ferguson after Mike Brown, they found out all the little funny business and issues with
Absolutely.
tickets and those police officers. So this is kind of a ongoing thing.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah. And I'm sure some places still practicing those practices. Absolutely
And
positive of it.
I'm really sorry that happened to you, because that's very traumatic. Like,
Oh, absolutely.
sheesh.
Absolutely. My mother, without going into details of this story, My
Hmm.
mother could have lost her all three of her children and two of her grandchildren that day
Yeah,
because this
that's
officer pulled
horrible.
a gun out on all of us. So my mother
Hmm.
would have lost her entire lineage of children and grandchildren that day.
That's
But by the grace
horrible.
of God, we are still here. And by my mother's and grandmother's prayers, we're still here.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
So yeah, the police are here to protect and serve us, but there's been many incidents
Police
where
protect and serve white communities, suburban communities, affluent communities. They monitor poor communities. And that's just the
okay,
reality of it.
okay,
That's the reality. They protect and serve out there in Ladue and Clayton and Crestwood and all of that other stuff. They get cats
hmm
out of the trees there. They do the patrolling there. They monitor activity in North County. They monitor activity in North St. Louis and West St.
hmm
Louis and South St. Louis to make sure that even when nobody's looking, Jen, you better be doing the right thing, or else you're going to have to deal with us.
okay. And then this whole we talked about this before on the show. This whole uh theme of eliminating threats and things like that.
Absolutely.
You keep hearing that when these officers are defend, kind of, I guess, come up with an explanation of why X, Y, and Z happened.
When the biggest drug dealers live in the suburbs, when the biggest drug users live in the suburbs because they can get a prescription from their doctors or their doctor friends, when
Mm,
the overdoses are happening in the suburbs, but they're not making the media because the media want to push forward a narrative about poor black people and poor people of color and poor white people. That's
yeah,
not necessarily true.
yeah.
And as long as it's in the immortal words of Dr. Martin Luther King, as long as it's happening over there, as long as it's an issue over there, it's not our issue.
Oh, okay, Martin Luther King.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah, totally. That's totally timely for what's
Mm-hmm.
going on. Timeless, right?
Mm-hmm.
Wow. Wanted to get your thoughts on this next story that just occurred in the last week here with WNBA star Brittney
Mm.
Griner. And she has been sentenced to 9 years in the Russian prison for drug smuggling, is what they called it. The basketball star was reportedly caught with hash oil in a vape pen at the airport earlier in the year, and she pled guilty, and then they gave her 9 years. I thought that
Nine
was
years.
interesting. I found this story or you know, going around Instagram meme or what have you, comparing her situation to a white
Mm-hmm.
woman situation. Who her name was Audrey Lorber, and she was a
Barbara, yeah.
19-year-old white woman who was arrested in Russia with 19 grams of THC,
Yeah,
and I think the grams of what Brittney Griner had was point 0.7.
yeah,
And then she's given 9 years, and Lorber was released in 2 months.
yeah.
And then, we ran it across the website that checks for, is this
Fact checks.
yeah, fact checks.
Yeah,
And it was true. It
yeah,
was true. And
yeah.
so what do you think about that, and why she faced a much stiffer fine than someone with less grams?
Of course, we know why. One, let's just put it out there. Let me say that first. She's a black woman, right?
Yeah.
She's a black queer woman who's
Mhm.
in the NBA, who's famous, who has accolades, who unfortunately not being paid enough in the United States, so she has to go to places like Russia to circumvent her income, right?
Yeah.
Let's just put all of these things up front, and also timing.
Mhm.
Her her going in Russia and being caught and happened to be over there, and then a war break out between Ukraine and Russia, and then
Right.
America start financing Ukraine in the war. So um, she became not only a target, she became an example. She
Yes.
became a ploy in a political game. And for all the people saying What are they doing? What are they doing? What are they doing? They, once again, don't know history. We've been at war with Russia since forever, right?
Mm-hmm.
Why would we not take the opportunity to show America exactly what we can do to one of their people that America honestly don't care about? Let's be perfectly clear. They don't
Okay.
care about this black woman, the last on the totem pole. How
Mm-hmm.
dare you be queer? How dare you be a lesbian? How dare you be a basketball player? How dare you be anything other than what we consider normal and human, right?
Yeah.
So the fight not gonna go as hard for you from America as it will, let's not even say a LeBron James,
Okay.
as it will as a Hillary Clinton's daughter,
Okay.
as a um, who's a famous person, as a Leonardo DiCaprio, as
Okay.
a regular white citizen in the United States. The world not gonna go as hard for you because you shouldn't be those things and you shouldn't be over there and you shouldn't have a vape pen in the first place. I heard so many ignorant people say, you know the rules, you know, blah, blah, blah. But if we thought about um, some of the things that we have been graced with by God to get away with, we
Mm-hmm.
would shut up.
Mm.
We would shut clean up.
Yeah.
And it's sickening. I send my heart out to her. I pray that something happens, that she don't have to serve 9 years anywhere for what that occurrence. Um, and I want to go on record for saying that my heart goes out to when the verdict came back. I was literally in a mind fog the entire day because I was hurting for her in my soul. My spirit hurt
Mm-hmm.
for her. My spirit hurt for the repercussions of what this means to her family. Let's take the fame, let's take the NBA player out of it. Let's take the
Mm-hmm.
being a lesbian out of it. This is a human being, right? Who's losing 9 years of their life for something that's totally legal from where they come from.
Right.
Because we are in a political ploy to make an example out of her, to show Biden and the Kamalas of what's going on and make an example. It's sickening. It's sickening. And here's the thing about it, it could have happened to any of us.
Yeah.
It could have happened to any of us if we were in a place where allies to Russia were there and they decided to detain us. Here's the thing about it, right? Say for instance she didn't do it.
Mm-hmm.
Even if she didn't do it, she did it.
Because they said she did it. I mean, yeah.
Yeah.
And then what do you think about like Biden's part? Like, they reached out to Biden and he made, some comments that he expressed some sympathy toward her, but is he really, do we expect him to do anything?
Well, in his defense, and I can't believe I have to defend Biden. The amount of regurgitation that's in my throat right now. But I'm honest, right? I'm honest. They did offer a gun salesman, a terrorist up
That's right.
for her, right?
Right. The
So this go
weapons
to show you
deal.
this is more. This is about more than what she did. This arms dealer who is completely loyal to Russia, who
Mm-hmm.
is who has been held by the United States, was offered up for this civilian. Let's keep in mind she's a civilian,
Yeah. Yeah.
and they chose to still prosecute her for 9 years.
Right. And then
That
I
says
guess
everything.
they might consider the deal. I mean,
No, this was before they gave her the 9 years.
oh, you're saying before. Okay.
Yeah, they offered her up before they gave her the 9 years,
Okay. So
before the
yeah,
trial went even went
because
in.
yeah, so I said that the government is working on a prisoner exchange. So we'll see if that happens because they've been talking about it, like you said before. They even,
And I
um,
pray she never stepped foot back in Russia.
oh
Not a toe.
yeah, yeah,
Not a toe. Because she's going to eventually come home. But the amount of psychological damage that has been done to that woman,
hmm,
I pray not only do she get intense therapy, but that God does something for her that allows her to keep living and going forward in a positive direction. Am I making any
totally.
sense?
Oh yeah,
Because this can
totally.
this this can this can kill the average man or the average woman, what she's going through.
Oh yeah, definitely. You can tell like when she was allowed to speak, and she made reference of. I thought it was interesting that she made reference of or recognize the whole political pond, and that
Absolutely.
this politics is very much so a part of what's happening to her.
Absolutely. And she needs to,
And
and she
yeah,
needs, because here's the thing about it, she never has to play basketball again, because when she comes home, and she's going to write a book. They're going to turn that book into a movie, and she'll be able to sit down the rest of her life. She will only play basketball if she wants to, not
yeah.
because she have to.
Yeah, I could see her stepping away from the sport. I could totally see her doing that.
Yeah.
And I just, wonder about like her treatment over there and that kind of thing.
Well,
That's
America did, look what America did to Kaepernick, right? So how willing are we to go forward in a foreign country when we
mhm,
basically practice the same things over here in America? See,
mhm.
that's the tricky part about being American and being in this cult of America, is that we persecute people for doing the exact same things we do here at home.
Yeah.
But we don't talk about that. We don't talk about the political prisoners who we don't allow to come back to the United States, like the Assata Shakors. We don't talk about
Mhm,
them. They're
mhm.
still on America's most wanted list
After all these years.
after all these years.
Yeah, that's incredible.
Yeah. Now, if Biden want to do something, do what Obama didn't. Take Assata Shakur off of the most wanted list, the federal most wanted list. Allow her to come home and finally reunite with her family.
Mm,
That'll prove something to me.
yeah. Yes, I mean this is not the only case of someone being caught up in like a political situation.
Hmm.
Yeah. So I hate that for her.
Yeah.
And yeah, she will come home. I'm hopeful of that too. I just hope she doesn't get have to do the whole 9 years, and that they can
She will
work
be home,
something
and she will not do those 9 years.
out. Hmm.
And we're going to speak that into existence.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
Great. Okay, so those were the stories that I wanted to get your thoughts on. That went by so
Hmm.
quick. I could have threw some more in there.
Yeah.
You have some really good takes in there. I appreciate that.
Oh, thank you.
So, you guys, Sir Ervin is a really dope creative. He's done some great work in plays and such. Let's talk a bit about what you're working on, or some of your projects.
Well, I have my book that's about to come out in September
Okay.
called Mr. Duplicity. It's like a poem, short stories, little memoir of myself. I also finally just got my second edit back for season 2 of It's Complicated, so that'll be coming out as well in September. And just a lot of things moving in motion. I'm actually doing a short about one of the subjects that we spoke about earlier. I just don't want to reveal it because
Okay.
there are too many people who like to see what I'm doing, steal it, and then regurgitate it back to me as their own individual ideas. So I'm not
Okay.
even going to speak on it. And then I'm in a production that's about to come out, and we're about to start filming in September as well. So my September is about to be extremely busy. So that's why I was trying to make sure that we got this interview in, because I know in September I can't do anything but what's already scheduled. And that's the old trailer. Did you see the new trailer?
Oh yeah, you did send me the new trailer.
Yeah, 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 yeah. That's the old trailer right there.
Okay.
So
This
yeah,
is so good, guys.
yeah, yeah.
And this is on YouTube. Talk a bit about It's Complicated so that people can look that up and subscribe.
It's complicated. It is a story about 4 black males 10 years after college. How you're supposed to be these great, amazing citizens in the world. They're all holding secrets from each other. So it's more about dramatic irony. What that means,
Okay.
the audience knows everything, but you get to see the characters discover it, but the audience knows everything from the first episode. Basically, I am a writer, actor, director in St. Louis. I'm overweight. At that time, I was like 80 pounds heavier than I am right now. Um,
Yeah.
and It's basically about being an actor, being a single father in St. Louis, trying to stay up on your feet, getting a divorce from your wife, your best friend who you call your brother having a affair with your wife. You don't know if your son is your son or not. It's so many things that's going on in
Oh, wow.
such little time. Because what people forget when they watch this, the episodes are only 15 minutes,
Are they
right?
really? Okay.
Exactly. So it's
Okay.
so much put into that 15 minutes that every time people watch it, you really don't get a chance to breathe. By the time it's over, you're going, what the wait, what did I just watch? So yeah, that's what we're working on. Unfortunately, COVID um
Mm.
stopped us from editing and to getting to the second season like we wanted to and filming. But now it's out. We've already done the filming. Now we're just in the editing portion to put it out.
Okay. So you're
Yeah.
anticipate that'll be available
September.
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 Okay, cool.
Probably the end of September, but September.
That's awesome.
Hmm.
Yeah, I had the opportunity to check out season one, and it was really great. So,
And you know what's funny about it? People still asking us about season one, and season one was literally almost 4 years ago now. It's
was
how
it?
fast time is going. It was almost four, and I still
Yeah.
have people hitting me up like, "What's happening?" And
Hmm.
everybody say the same thing, and they ask like, "How can you support? Share it.
Okay.
Keep sharing it. Talk about it. Introduce it to your friends. It may not be the highest budget show. It might not even be your cup of tea, but we have to support St. Louis artists
Hmm.
wholeheartedly if we want people to take St. Louis art seriously. Artists like myself and others shouldn't have to move away, create the same art that we were creating in St. Louis, and then come back to St. Louis and go, look what we have for you. Like, support it
Right.
right there. That's why places like New York, in Kansas City, in Chicago, in LA can be sustainable in their city because the
Hmm.
people support their art. You
Yeah.
understand what I'm saying?
Right. Right.
And they support the art locally first, and then we find out about them nationally, internationally later.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
Well, we will share the links where people can find that project, and you will let us know when the book, Mr. Duplicity, is it?
Mr. Duplicity, yes.
Okay.
That's
Um,
basically a person who is a fraud in every situation.
oh, okay. So that's a fiction piece, right? Or you said it
It's
was
a
kind
no,
of.
no, no. It's what it is. So it's based off of the name comes from um an old Paul Laurence Dunbar poem called
Okay.
"We Wear the Mask." And he talk about we wear the mask that grins and lies, that hides our cheeks and shade our eyes, that's debt we pay to human guile. With torn and bleeding hearts, we smile. And he talk about how black people have to be something different when they walk out their door, how they have to
Hmm.
put this mask on. And he wrote this in the late 1800s, early 1900s, how they have to put
Yeah.
this mask on in every situation. So my theory was, especially when it comes to black men, how we have to be something different depending on what situations we are. And what
Hmm.
happened in being something different, like you're different for your wife than you are for your mother. You're different for your children than you are for your father, and just all these things. And I saw so many black men lose their identity because you start putting on your mother mask for your wife, and you start putting on your father mask for your children, and all
Hmm.
these other things. And eventually you forgot who you were. So it's getting back
Hmm.
to that core of that. That is the concept. Or who are you when you are not someone else for other people? Who are you?
Amazing. Okay. Cool.
Yeah.
And then anything else to share?
I guess that's about it. I'm tired.
Okay. All right. Well, I
No, I guess
loved
that's about
having
it.
you on.
Thank you
You're
so
welcome
much.
here anytime, especially when the book is available. We would love to share that and have you talk about it.
I
We can,
appreciate it.
yeah, totally.
I
So,
appreciate you inviting me. Thank you. Let me thank you first. I really appreciate being on Woke by Accident. I love some of the topics that you come through. I'll be watching and be like, mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Some people you be having on her, I'll be like, mm-mm, mm-mm, no, no, don't do that no more. Don't do that. That's not because it's one thing to be honest and it's one thing to be diplomatic in your answer.
oh, okay.
All right. I ain't mean to say it like that. Like I'm not talking about specific people. I'm just saying
No,
like
yeah, yeah, yeah.
like you don't have to always be diplomatic in your answer. Sometimes it's
Okay.
okay to, we live in a society that says it's not okay to have an opinion. I have an opinion. Sometimes it's valid. Sometimes it's my opinion. You don't have to
Mhm.
like it, but I can have an opinion whether you like it or not. And that's
True.
what I like about your podcast. People can have
True.
an opinion. Whether you agree with the person or not, they can have an opinion on your show.
That's true. And just because someone comes on and I've had, guests and people who I record with a lot, have a certain opinion about things. And I let people talk their ish, right? You
Yeah.
know,
Yeah.
and I let it breathe. And it doesn't mean that I necessarily share those views, but
Yeah.
we will share the platform because I support people's vision and views and that kind of thing. So
Yeah. You can put that disclaimer up too at the beginning. The views of Sir Ervin
oh
Williams are not the views of, you have to have that
not
voice. The
just for
views of Sir
you,
Ervin Williams are not the views of the Woke by
everybody,
Accident brand. Absolutely.
No, I feel you though. I appreciate what you brought, and I think it'll be awesome. So definitely kudos to you and what you have
Thank you.
going on, and we will be in touch with you, sir.
All right. Peace. Thank you.
All right, have a great one,
You too.
guys. Thanks for listening. At this time, we're going to go ahead and conclude the episode. We greatly appreciate you listening. We invite you to follow us on social media. On Instagram, it is Woke by Accident Podcast. On Twitter, it is Woke by. On Facebook, it is Woke by Accident Podcast. We also have the new website up, www.wokebyaccident.net. Please check us out and also follow us on all of your favorite streaming platforms, and please leave a review and share feedback. You can also reach out by Gmail, wokebyaccident@gmail.com. And every time you listen, we appreciate it so much. Thank you for listening and take care.